Hi, these notes are intended to give you good information about how to construct an effective body paragraph for your persuasive essay on child brides. Note, however, that these are not just ideas to bear in mind for this particular assignment, but you can use this when you're constructing any sort of a body paragraph for an essay, because these ideas will help you to get the format down so you can do a great job. Notice that on the left-hand side here I've got notes about sentences, so literally at the beginning I want you to copy this down. First sentence, second sentence, third sentence, etc. And then I'll give you an example. Make sure you copy this information into your notes in your binder. First, you'll always start with a topic sentence, and this is where you explain the subject. You don't tell any bit about your conclusion about the topic. Simply let people know what this paragraph is going to be about, and then stick to that while you're writing. The second sentence is where you introduce your first example to help prove your point. We also call this evidence. Now, you can put this into a sentence of your own or explain it really clearly, but particularly for this essay, since we are using evidence, I want you to make sure you include one piece of data, a statistic, a detail, a date, or a location, so that we will have a number to refer to. And then in your third sentence, you're going to explain what that data shows. We also call this your commentary. Once you've got that format down, you're essentially going to repeat it for each of the other two main points or details or pieces of evidence that you use. Include your second example, and remember, as we already know, we're building up to our strongest piece of evidence. So use a transition to go from the first idea to the second idea and explain it. And then your third example, which should be your strongest piece of evidence, the one that you think best illustrates the situation, with some sort of a transition from the second to the third. And lastly, you give an explanation in another sentence, and then your conclusion. What is the information, or what are the ideas that we're supposed to derive from the evidence that you've already given us? So here's an example of how it might look if I was actually writing a paragraph using this sort of a format. I start off with a topic sentence, and this would be for a paragraph, say, about describing the extent of the problem with child marriage. My first sentence might start that child marriage is widespread around the world. So I've established what it is I'll cover in this paragraph. I want to include my first example. In Nicaragua, 41% of brides are married before they reach the age of 18. That is simply evidence. Now my explanation of it. This would be the equivalent of 27 million American women getting married before they turn 18. And that explanation sort of puts the number in a context that a reader can understand a little bit better than simply saying 41%. My next example. However, in countries such as Niger, over 70% of married women were wed prior to age 18. Note that I use however, so we have a transition word in here to shift from the first idea to the second. I want to now put this number in some sort of a greater context. Since most of these girls stop attending school on their wedding day, this means that their education ends and their motherhood begins. And now I'm going to transition to my strongest point. The phenomenon of child marriage impacts girls in Asia too. In India, for example, 47% of women are married prior to the age of 18. My explanation? Since India is the second most populated country on earth, and then I would go ahead and finish that sentence with some statistic about how many women that would actually affect. Clearly you can see I start off talking about Nicaragua and then move to Niger and then to India, and the numbers increase as we go along. Now the conclusion. Clearly, this is a problem which affects girls in dozens of countries. Likewise, there are dozens of reasons why child marriage exists. And this is going to transition now into my next paragraph, which will be an explanation of why brides are married at such a young age. When I finish that paragraph, then I'm ready to transition into the big paragraph at the end about what it is we should do about child marriage. So for homework, make sure you take notes on the structure of how to put together a good body paragraph, and then follow that structure as you write out your 3 body paragraphs for your essay on child brides. Thanks.